Good evening. So this is our first official or unofficial live transmission that we're doing on a channel that we opened up on YouTube at the request of one of the members of this community here last year, I think. So this is the first time we're actually getting around to sharing something with whoever wants to listen in. And we thought to explore a little bit the topic of love. Something we can never get enough of, and we already have all that we need. And so putting those two pieces together takes a little bit of work. And I'll talk for a little bit, and then Dapel is going to guide a meditation that's quite a simple and very universal technique for getting in contact with our capacity to love, and then exercising it and extending it. And that practice is called metta, which is a Pali term that means love or loving kindness. And as I mentioned the last time I was here 2 weeks ago, this practice was taught by the Buddha in response to a request from some monks who had gone to meditate in a forest, which is the forest 2,600 years ago. It's not the fragmented habitats that we have now. It was a real forest. And they were terrified. They felt themselves to be under threat and in danger. And they interpreted their experience of vulnerability and insecurity and fear as being assaulted by evil spirits, which the villagers near the forest, that was an interpretation that they shared, that the forest is full of evil spirits. And that fear and that anxiety and that uncertainty or insecurity was disturbing the meditation. So they went back to the Buddha and said, there are evil spirits in that forest and we're not able to meditate, and what should we do? And the Buddha said to them, well, last time I sent you off to meditate in the forest unarmed. This time I'll send you back armed. The practice that he armed them with was the practice of emanating loving kindness unconditionally. And so in itself, that already gives us a sense that there's something a little bit counterintuitive, and also I think invites us to reflect on the relationship between our own sense of vulnerability and the response that we could have to that vulnerability of staying open and offering love, which is very much not our instinct at times. We feel vulnerable, shut off when we want to close off, when we want to push away. And what the Buddha's teaching at that moment suggests is that that's actually not the right response. That's not productive. And so the quality of the experience of love that would allow us to stay open even when we feel vulnerable is a very particular way of understanding what love is. So if we take a very classical Buddhist definition of what love is an orientation towards some being with a consciousness, which means someone who's able to experience pain or suffering, someone who experiences consciousness. Someone who experiences, someone who has consciousness. It's an orientation towards someone who can experience happiness or pain, and the wish is that what they experience be happiness, just wanting them to be happy. And the structure, the kind of cognitive structure of the kind of love that Buddha is describing, and that we might, if we really observe our own experiences, we might recognize that that is what we actually are going for. It's an experience in which the distinction between self and other it dissolves. And this is a little bit kind of a lot of antennas, psychologist antennas of like, oh, that sounds very unhealthy because we don't have any more boundaries and we lose our sense of self. And interestingly, that actually the yearning that we have when we love is precisely that. To stop feeling that sense of painful separation and to be able to experience ourselves as a condition or part of the other and experience the other as a part of us in such a way that the wall or the implicit separation that is implicit in the concept of self and other dissolves. And so that isolation or the separation that we experience when we are experiencing the world as out there, disconnected from us who are independent entities, kind of self-enclosed entities that therefore are not really connected because we're independent. We're separable. We're objects in a field of other objects. So that experience that we have brings isolation. And the yearning for closeness, the yearning to love and to be loved is part of our wish to come out from that misunderstanding of who we truly are. This is the Buddhist presentation. So how kind of taking this back a couple of steps, and how does that connect with our own experiences of love? So if we look at how love looks on the ground in the messiness of our relationships, we can see that we might experience something that looks a lot like this definition. And kind of sometimes the easiest example is holding a newborn baby. Holding a newborn baby, and you just want them to be happy and to flourish and to give them everything that you have and give everything you are so that they can be well and happy and strong and safe and protected. And there's no story about you and them. It's just this experience. When we look at it, we can see echoes of that definition. When we talk to ourselves later about experiences, about our relationship with love, when we start thinking or experiencing after the moment in which love is flowing, we're just completely open and focusing on their happiness makes us happy. Later, when we're talking to ourselves about that experience, when we're talking, there's us and them. And when we look at how this plays out in relationships that we have as adults with our partner, which is kind of the typical object of love that we, first comes the partner, then come the kids. So we have this experience with a partner that we have these moments of, ideally, we have these moments in which we feel like we're just one. There's not two. And it's not even just like one. There's not even that feeling of being one because one is then separate from everything else. There's just this openness and this feeling of connection. And it's joyful. It's love. It just fills you with happiness So we have this experience, and we think that the other person made us feel that way. That's right. I mean, it wasn't our next door neighbor who made us feel that way. It was our partner who made us feel that way. And so we start interpreting our experience. And the experience of love is not something that really lends itself to be put in words, despite all the songs and and plays and dramas and poems and sonnets about it. It's an experience that, precisely because it's not operating in these basically dualistic categories that language operates in, of self and other, it doesn't lend itself to being pinned down that way. But we are pin downers. We pin things down. That's what we do. And so when we try to understand what we felt, it's natural. It's such a powerful thing, and we think about it, and we reflect back on it, and we want to get back to it when we've come out from it, and how do we do it? So we start interpreting, we start analyzing, and we really feel that the other person gave us that experience. They awakened, or they were the cause, and our experience was the result. And once we do that, we are in a very painful state. Because what we want comes from something that's foreign, it's other to us, and it's two. And so we want to overcome that sense of separation. And if we really look at how we start talking to ourselves about the other experience, this person made me feel that way because they are so, and we start trying to figure out what is it about this person that creates that experience for us. Not consciously, but also we thinking about the person and telling ourselves stories about how wonderful the person is helps us to try to, we use that to try to come back to that experience. They're so beautiful, they're so funny, they're so, so we start trying to interpret the experience, but we do it in such a way that we put all kinds of conditions on the other person. I love them and they make me feel this way because they're this, that, and the other. And so that's something that then automatically starts generating tensions in the relationship, because you believe that they will create an experience of love in you. That is, you will love them to the degree that they are so beautiful and so wonderful and so funny. And they're not always that funny and beautiful and whatever. So there's this very funny misinterpretation of the nature of love. Love is an experience that we have inside ourselves. It's a capacity that we all have. And when we think about picking up a baby, having a baby, we can immediately open why. Why is it so easy for us to open up to who's vulnerable? It's just a very interesting question. We think that if we're vulnerable, that puts us in danger. We want to close off. But we experience love. Well, who needs care? It's something very remarkable, and it's absolutely necessary for our species and for the planet, that when someone is defenseless and someone is profoundly needy, we can feel love for them. So that's something that we can have for any baby. That already can give us a little bit of a hint that it doesn't depend on the qualities of that person. It doesn't have to be our baby. There are all these sad stories about babies being changed at birth. There are two sets of identical twins in Colombia, and they were changed at birth. And two were raised as if they were fraternal twins, because they obviously didn't look that much alike. and the other two were raised as fraternal twins, and later because they were identical twins, the kind of all these bad comedies that you can imagine about it, they discover themselves again. So these things happen. Babies are changed. In that case, they found it out because. But you can have babies who are changed, and you love them anyway. It doesn't. You we think that it's because it's your genes and your flesh and blood, but it's just because you think that they're yours to love, and so you love them. So this kind of the experience that we have of love is something that I think we don't really we don't understand very well because we've been telling ourselves stories about it that take us away from the direction that love actually flows. Love flows from us outwards. And when we're focusing on the other's need for happiness and need for care, love flows quite easily in many ways. There can be, different, very extreme cases, but pretty much all of us just holding a baby, feeling its neediness and seeing how defenseless it is, we recognize it needs care. Just open up and we just feel love. And so this practice is a practice that lets us just get back in touch with that place. It kind of helps us to find our way back to the place in us that love just flows from. And it's a practice it's just nice to do because it's really good to get back to that place. But it also has a kind of cleansing effect on the quality of the love that we feel. And one of the ways that it works is that instead of telling ourselves that we love this person because they're so special, they're so amazing, we change the direction and we just wish them to be well. And the practice uses phrases, verbal phrases that we repeat mentally to people that we visualize in front of us, that we imagine, including ourselves. And we focus on their wish for happiness, need for happiness. We tap into that element of love where you are wanting the other to be happy. And at the same time, that's completely universalizable. Nothing specific to that person. We can wish anyone. And that again helps us to recognize that it's a capacity we have. I think maybe we just do the practice. Ready, Dapel?
So maybe we take just comfortable position. So that our spine is straight, relaxed. And take a moment to just settle our mind in the present moment. And watch our breath going in and out. And just landing in this present moment. You imagine in front of you one person, so it can be an animal, that you feel very easily love through. Love flows very easily. Relationship that is not complicated. Just thinking of this person opens your heart. So you imagine that person, that animal in front of you. Feeling his or her presence. And at the eyes, or his face. Connecting with this warmth that you feel in your heart, looking for him. From this place of warmth, space of love, we let well-wishing flow towards this person, form of different phrases, different wishes. May you be well. And then again, reconnecting with the presence of this person, this animal. And repeat the phrase and the rhythm that is good for you. Stay connected. May you be well. May you feel safe, protected. May you feel safe, protected. You use phrases as your anchor. Get distracted, you just pick up the phrase again. Reconnect with the presence, the person in front of you. You feel safe and protected. May you feel loved. May you feel loved. May you be happy and at ease. May you be happy and at ease. You can look at the person's face Maybe something has softened and changed. It's offering of love. Just feeling this energy, this field of love that we have created between us. Looking at the eyes, we see that where his eyes offer this love back to us. And it's an animal friend. It's looking at us, all his love, expressing in bodily language. The person may use some phrases also to offer us for his love. And so our job in this moment is just to receive, making ourselves open to receive love. And this person may use these traditional phrases, but maybe they use other phrases you have heard from this person before. Touch their heart. Stay simply present, opening the love of the other person. Fully allow ourselves to be loved. allowing ourselves to be loved. We will continue to offer love to ourselves. Now offering these wishes for ourselves. May I be well. May I be well. May I feel safe and protected. May I feel safe and protected. May I feel loved. May I feel loved. May I be happy and at ease. Yeah, be happy and at ease. Feeling the space of love, warmth of your heart. Extend all this love, all directions, starting with all the people that are around you or sharing space with you in this very moment. May we all be well, all who are sitting here together in this moment. Be well. Feeling how your love extends over their beings around you, each one of them, touching their noble heart. We extend a little bit more to all the people and all the beings that live in this place. Reaching out to as many as possible, wishing them well. extend even more. For all beings who are living in the city, this village, touching as many as possible, reaching out with your love to as many as possible. Just feel how your warmth, love extending. You can also use the phrases helping extend this feeling of care, well-wishing. All who are living in this city, be well, be happy, be at ease. Extend a little further, not as you can. Extend throughout the whole country. Your wishes, goodness. May all who are living in this country be well, be safe and protected. Now we can imagine how we embrace all Earth, planet Earth, with our love. And offering our love for every being that is living on this planet, and also for the Earth itself. May you all be well. May you all be happy. Ease. We all feel loved. as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain. Until then, may I too remain, put a spell in this race.
Face of love open. Slowly come on. And transmissions, some sharing of reflections.